we're doing very high-scale reforms in the power sector, which the intention of which is to minimize the burden on taxpayers and on the government finances, and to put that burden on the private shoulders. These kind of reforms have been done in many countries across the world, and they have been found to be very successful, and that's the reason why they were offered to us, to our government, to be carried out. This will lead to the intention of the reforms is not to let the increase in the sovereign debt, because our infrastructure is old. We need a lot of investments into the sector. According to rough estimates, from 15 billion to 20 billion United States dollars would be needed in the next 10 years, which would increase our debt burden significantly from the current estimate of 30 billion to up to 50 billion. That's huge increase. And in order not to let this happen, we're doing these reforms. And I was very sad to discover that some quasi-experts find these reforms to be devastating to the sector, that they would lead to the increase of tariffs. These assertions, these kind of claims are totally baseless. Why? Because we are conducting selection by the private power producers, for example. They will be brought on competitive basis. Their tariffs are on a competitive basis, very similar to the ones that are state-owned power production companies are having currently. And if before the split up of Uzbekistan, the tariffs were calculated on aggregate level, but this aggregate was done by bringing together the tariffs for each circle. You know, for example, first the tariff for power production would be calculated, then for the transmission, then for the distribution. And currently, after the split up, each sector is calculating their tariffs. So the summing up of the components will not bring something bigger. Saying that this kind of split up will lead to the increase in tariffs is baseless. And another thing that I read, it was claimed that the taxes on revenue would lead to increase in tariffs. Yeah, and this is taxes on revenue have been abolished. We don't have any taxes on revenue. So this kind of thing will not be experienced, will not be observed in the future when we carry out these reforms. As you know, we split up Uzbekistan into three companies, actually 4 companies. It's Uzhydro and thermal power plants shareholding companies, and then National Electric Grids of Uzbekistan and regional electric grids. This is to the power production, to the transmission, and to the distribution. So private investors will be brought to the power production, and we will have wholesale market, and then we will not be having intermediaries in the market. There will be producers and there will be retailers. Retailers are companies that will be buying power in the wholesale market and competing in the consumer to deliver this power to the consumers and to the companies, the businesses. So some of the components will not bring to something higher. The tariff, we don't expect the tariffs to be to increase substantially. We don't expect that.
According to the State Statistics Committee, gas production in Uzbekistan decreased by 18.6% to 44.9 billion cubic meters in January-November 2020.